Hi, I'm Daniel Lucuz, and welcome to Book 101 Review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read from the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. They are the CEO of the Digital Dojo, no other than Miss Colleen Robinson and Mr. Dana Pemberton.
Hello, Daniel.
So good to be here with you.
Thanks for having us. Wonderful and so excited to be with you tonight.
Welcome to Book 101, both of you, and can you please introduce more about yourself?
Yes, I'll go first.
Sure.
So I do Chinese medicine, I do integral medicine, and together we've created something called NAP, the New Agreement Process, which we use to help people clear out things from their past that aren't serving them anymore. And when Dana and I met, we were doing very different things, and we've been doing this together now since the early 2000s.
Long time.
Long time.
And you?
Mr. Dana?
Yes, I'm Dana Pemberton. I'm an executive and leadership coach. I've developed a tool, a set of principles for high-level decision-making that I use with people in their professional and personal lives called the Black Belt Mind. Together, Colleen and I have founded the Digital Dojo, which is the chief way online that we offer the different tools, courses, and trainings that we've developed over the years and bring together other practitioners to deliver really high quality information and get people information that they can use to build better and more intentional lives.
High quality indeed. Ms. Colleen and Mr. Dana, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. Let's talk about the breaking cycles plus healing inherited trauma. Can you tell us about this topic?
Can I jump in again?
You please go ahead. I know you're excited too.
I get so excited about this. Because
she really does.
One of the things that I found, because again, we've been doing this for 20 years now, give or take, and when people come in, whether it's I always have stomach problems, I'm always spraining my right ankle, or I'm always a lot of people will come in and they'll say, "Oh, I'm just sabotaging myself. I don't know what's wrong with me," and people take all of the responsibility that it is somehow their fault. They are somehow doing something wrong, and more we have been finding that when you look at the underlying patterns, and especially the inherited trauma patterns, nobody's doing anything wrong. People repeat traumas in order to find a way out of them that's better. So when you can shift the focus with somebody from, "Oh my goodness, what's wrong with you? Why did you do that again?" to, "Oh, let's figure out why you did that again because there's a good reason." And once you know the reason, you don't have to do it anymore, then things change.
Indeed. And Mr. Dana?
I would say that the chief thing that I work with people on in this area of behavioral change and what we call pattern interrupts for non-optimal behavior is the building of awareness. I cannot have any control over something that I'm unaware is impacting me or affecting me. So if I'm capable of recognizing through my own discernment the difference between what I know that I don't know and what I don't know, then I build an awareness that becomes very powerful in recognizing how to interrupt old patterns of behavior that are suboptimal. In other words, I'm doing things, I don't know why I'm doing them, and I can see their impact negatively on me and my intention to pursue my goals. Once we build that awareness in and we get a person's understanding wrapped around the power that they have to observe themselves objectively and their behavior, then we can enact all kinds of behavioral change that makes old patterns obsolete and builds room for new ones to come in place that are much more in alignment with the things that we are really, truly satisfied by in terms of the pursuit of our goals.
Very well said, both of you. Beautifully articulated.
Thank you.
The Digital Dojo. How can you connect to our topic for today?
Oh, good question. So for For me, I honestly, I just want to come back every week and find out what your favorite books are, because I've narrowed it down to about 200. And then I brought in one for today. And for me, the books, actually, it's a series that I brought in, are all about what do we do with feelings of not being good enough? What do we do with feelings of overwhelm? And what do we do with old trauma? So for me, that ties into the Patricia Briggs series that I'd love to talk with you about today.
Beyond genetics, how do you conceptualize trauma moving through lineages or stories, behaviors, or silence emotions, or cultural narratives?
Yeah, you and
That's
me.
awesome.
That's
Daniel. Great question.
yeah. This first.
Yes.
The way that I tend to use for describing trauma is, it's not mine. I have borrowed it from people who are far wiser than I am. And the concept is that trauma is anything that we are not well resourced enough to entirely process in the moment. And part of the reason that I love that is because it's very broad. It means you don't have to justify being traumatized by being up all night with a stomach flu and then having to go to work. And it also, again, takes the stigma away from it. It takes the stigma away of, oh my goodness, I'm so ashamed. I had this trauma and I have to justify why this happened to me. And I just said, no, something happened. And now I'm going to process it.
Mr.Dana?
Yes. Awesome. Those are great questions, Daniel. So from my coaching standpoint, I look at performance and behavior. And one of the most powerful aspects of both of those things is what's called modeling. Modeling is one of the most, if not the most powerful form of teaching that we as human beings exchange with. If I've lived in a culture that has generational traumas, 2, 3, 4 generations behind me, the modeling of how my ancestors survived that trauma is going to be incredibly impactful, and it's going to teach me as a descendant of those people how to behave and survive potentially traumatic dynamics that we have gone through. Even if I've never gone through them directly myself, if I watch the people, the adults, the people ahead of me, my parents and grandparents, adapt certain behaviors and put emphasis on particular kinds of actions and performance, then I'm going to mimic those things, because those are the things that will be taught to me ancestrally and culturally as being, this is how our people survived. So from a behavioral standpoint, those patterns become very, very powerfully ingrained in our behavior for reasons that we actually, growing up, often don't even question. We just think, well, that's the way it is. That's what my grandparents did. That's what my parents are doing. That's what I'm going to do. Even when those things are out of alignment with our own personal values and with the goals that we might have personally beyond our familial and cultural influence, they can still be so powerful that we then are behaving and performing in ways that we don't entirely feel like we understand why. That in itself can be very traumatic. And that's how the pattern of and the behavior of those traumas gets compounded and continually passed down and passed down and passed down, because nobody remembers that they can question why they are performing a particular pattern of behavior. They just justify it by the fact that, well, that's what me, my family, and my people do.
How do we unrecognize inherited traumas typically show up physically or emotionally before we consciously identify them, like chronic anxiety or unexplained pain, relationship triggers?
Beautiful.
Yeah, amazing.
Huh?
Actually, you first.
Yeah, that's again, beautiful questions, Daniel. Thank you so much. That's where, at the foundation of anything that we can change in those areas, we have to be committed to building self-awareness. Okay. What's self-awareness? Self-awareness is the ability to objectively observe one's behavior, right? And why is it important that we do it objectively? Because when we are unaware of the necessity for objectivity in our own self-examination, we get trapped and caught up in a whole bunch of old stories. This idea is kind of anchored to the fact that, generally speaking, human beings are much more prone to doing what they feel than to doing what they think. Okay? And if we can understand that and be aware of the power of that, we can start harnessing the power of meaning in a way that brings much more alignment to our true values and our true self, because we will start to build meaning for ourselves as opposed to just following along the meaning that consistently is handed down to us.
That's a good answer.
Thank
Good
you.
answer indeed. You need a big hand for that.
Thank you.
Very well said. What's your process for helping someone trace a current struggle like perfectionism or fear of abandonment back to its generational roots?
Yeah, so good. Daniel, your questions are fantastic.
You've got great questions.
Thank you.
I think we do it. Dana, the beautiful thing about being able to work with Dana is that he comes in from his angle, I come in from my angle, and everybody, some people want 10% of me and 90% of him and vice versa. And so we're able to adapt as we're working together to whatever person, whatever group needs in that moment. And I'm very appreciative of it. And the angle I'm coming in from is often using either traditional Chinese medicine, because that's what my training is in. I'm a TCMP, a practitioner, and NAP, which we use all the time. And NAP is a very simple repeat after me process. And in that process, we've designed it so that it allows your system to go in and find all of the triggers that have been built in. Because when you look at the science of it, and they're doing more and more studies, even 10, 15 years ago, talking about inherited trauma, people would have thought it was pretty fringe science. It's not super mainstream, but it's getting there now. And they're doing more and more studies where they're finding that not only are there these epigenetic changes and your DNA is changing with trauma, it's changing your behavior, it's changing your physicality, but they're also finding that it's changing your brain. So whether you're going in physically, mentally, emotionally, it's all coming from the same place. And so with NAP, very simple, repeat after me process. We identify the thing we want to work on. We do the repeat after me process, and things start to shift.
And for sure, very well said, Ms.Colleen. Very well said too. And how do you navigate the tension between honoring ancestors, family loyalty, and the need to break away from harmful patterns?
Oh, that's a good one. That's you.
You just keep coming with them, Daniel. Those are awesome questions. Well, from my perspective, in terms of boots on the ground, applicable, practical strategies, and the desire to instill in people the power of their own awareness, at the heart of that is choice. And we define that in our work as there's sort of two types of choice fundamentally, and then we can get more specific, but fundamentally there's two types of choice. There's choices that come from a deep, clear sense of your own self-worth, right? Your self-worth as defined by how you estimate your own value. And then there's choices that come from the pursuit of self-esteem. Okay? Just language that we use to differentiate two varying experiences. Self-esteem is the feeling that we have when we are trying to assess how other people view our value. Generally speaking, in each one of those camps, there's something that leads the way. And what I mean by that is that generally choices that we make based in the pursuit of self-esteem, the idea that we're driven by our experience of how other people perceive our value, creates what we call reactionary thinking. Okay, we call that kind of thinking other determined. In other words, we are putting the people's viewpoints, perspectives, and opinions outside of us ahead in value of our own. When we talk about the opposite of that, which is a self-worth perspective, we are talking about responsive action, where we are making choices based on the meaning of our own values from our own determination to move forward and make choices in directions that help us feel more and more connected to our true values. And in that, we are not necessarily pursuing the validation of other people. When we can get into a momentum of awareness around the power of that choice, whether I react to my environment or I respond to my environment, whether I make choices based on what I'm reacting to that I think other people want from me and that other people think are valuable, or I'm making decisions based upon what I feel in my heart is valuable, what makes me feel like I'm being my true self, we really land in the place where a path of response is something that we recognize that builds a very powerful momentum, and a path of reaction builds a very powerful momentum in the opposite direction. It's one of disempowerment. When we're disempowered, we are much more prone to just follow the things that people tell us, not because we understand why, not because we're connected to those things, but because, well, that's what they told me to do. That's how they told me to think. That's how they told me to act. We lose our ability to question, and therefore we lose our ability to choose responsively in a manner that honors and connects us to our own feeling of value.
For sure, that will be very well said. Good job, Mr.Dana. Good
Great question.
job. As the founder of Digital Dojo, what are your short-term and long-term goals?
Oh,
So many, but
so
I think we got them pretty well distilled.
the simple one for me is changing the world one person at a time and then one group at a time, because every time any of us frees ourselves up, it allows us to interact differently. We cause less trauma. We trust in other people to be allowed to be freer and happier. And the more we can allow that worldwide, the happier I'll be. You have a better answer too.
I know, that was an awesome answer. On top of that, Daniel, our other goal is to be a trusted source of valuable information that we provide, but that we also bring our colleagues and peers together in order to provide their valuable wisdom and information so that people can come to us, find the Digital Dojo, and through all of the offerings that we have, walk away every single time with something new and valuable that will help them be more who they are and more who they want to be.
Good luck to your goals and looking forward for more success. And what would be your piece of advice for those people out there who want to be both of you like what are you doing?
Oh, that's a good question.
Awesome.
Do you have an answer? I'm still thinking.
I've always got an answer. Sometimes people love it, sometimes people don't. Yeah, one piece of advice that I operate on with people as a simple takeaway is to recognize the value of doing what I call doubting your doubt. Right? What does that mean? Doubt is a thing that we feel that makes us start to shrink away from our personal power and slow down our momentum of anything that we're reaching for and pursuing. Right? So we have a goal. We get excited about the goal. We step out into the world. We run into resistance to that goal. We start to doubt whether the goal is valuable. We start to doubt whether the goal is something we can even accomplish or that we even have the right to attempt to accomplish. That feeling can be so discouraging and so powerful. The thing that I share with people to try, and I would share our whole audience to just accept the possibility that this might work, is that when you're in a moment of doubt, you've run into resistance that you never anticipated, and man, your goals are feeling like they're slipping through your fingers. Doubt your doubt. Doubt the doubt that you're feeling. What does that mean? It means challenge yourself and say, okay, I know I'm feeling really discouraged right now. And I know that the resistance I ran into is making me feel like I cannot reach for this thing. I don't have the right to. I don't deserve to be successful. What if I'm wrong about that? What if I'm not correct that I don't have the ability? What if I'm not correct, that I don't have the courage and the discipline and the commitment to see this thing that feels so valuable to me in my heart out expressed into the world? Doubting your doubt is a great way to reset your mind and your align with your commitment again and create a space of courage where you don't give up so easily. Because most of accomplishment in this life of anything valuable and meaningful comes from commitment, not talent, not ability, not entitlement, commitment. And most of the time people stop and their commitment wavers right before they're about to break through to a new level of success beyond what they thought they were capable of. So that's what I ask people to try and do, is doubt their doubt when they're in a moment that feels shaky.
That was good.
Thank you.
Good. Totally, you need an applause.
That's awesome.
Thank you for your advice.
Thank you for the questions and listening to the answer.
How about Ms.Colleen? What will be your advice?
Oh, that's such a good one. I think Dana is always so good at sounding erudite, and he comes up with these beautiful, complex answers, and I am not that. and so my advice is, if there is something that fascinates you, no matter how odd it may seem, whether or not people get it, trust that you are being pulled there for a reason. Trust that it interests you because somebody else out there needs it.
Very well said. And can you recommend a book that influenced your journey?
Oh, okay. I'm going to go first because, again, I narrowed
There
it down.
are many, Daniel.
I narrowed it down to 200.
200. Okay.
And one of the ones that I think will be very interesting for people is actually a book series. It's the Mercy Thompson series by Patricia Briggs. It is an urban fantasy series, which might sound funny considering we're talking about health and healing. But the entire series, the beauty of urban fantasy is that we recognize it. It's our world. We have cell phones. We know where these places are, but there's just something that's a little different, and that allows us to really distance ourselves enough to go, well, this isn't happening to me, but I can see myself in it. It gives us a little more freedom. And in the Mercy Thompson series, it's an entire series about a woman who is a coyote shapeshifter, and she is sort of the lowest on the ladder of who should be big and bad and tough in the supernatural world. And yet she still manages, through sheer will, through courage, through determination, through intelligence, through love, to make sure that everything turns out every single time. She's just courageous and honest. And it's a book series about how we get through trauma. It's a book series about what we do when the impossible happens and we don't know how to handle it. And it's a book about gathering, it's a series about gathering your friends around you and how you're always stronger when you do that. And there's vampires and werewolves. So.
Totally fantasy. And Mr.Dana?
Yes. And just to pick up on the heels of what Colleen said, really what I see her do beautifully day in and day out and extremely well is help people create possibilities. Mm-hmm. And in that fantasy world, which many of the characteristics she's describing to this character that's in this series of books, she demonstrates herself on a daily basis. And those things help people get a potentially brand new view of themselves, of what they're capable of and how they might be able to do something that they never thought possible before. For me, where that ties into the book that I really was drawn to share with you tonight, it's a book from the 17th century, a book on the surface of what is supposed to be martial arts and military strategy by the patron saint of very famous swordsman in Japan named Miyamoto Musashi. And the book is called The Book of Five Rings. That book, literally being a lifelong martial artist and being now a sensei in the martial arts, changed my life from the first time I read it, because fundamentally it is a very powerful treatise on just how much more capable of courage we are than we think we are, than we are taught that we are. And I would encourage martial artists, non-martial artists, anybody who wants to build real proficiency in life. Never mind becoming perfect, because that's a goal that we can pursue forever that we never reach. What it helps us understand is how to develop skill. And one of the chief manners in which we develop skill is to have the courage to be vulnerable, to admit that we don't know how to do something. As soon as we can admit that we don't know how to do something, we've taken the first and most powerful step of actually being able to build proficiency at that thing. But if we don't ever admit that we don't know how to do something and are vulnerable in our courage to do so, then we will always be trapped by the need for perfectionism or the desire for perfectionism, but with no practical way to get there.
I like that book. Mr. Dana, I like it both, the book that you recommend. Thank you so much for your recommendation.
Our pleasure.
Let's talk about the grief and grace. How do you make space for the grief of what ancestors endure and the grief of what you did not receive without getting stuck?
Oh,
Beautiful question, Dan.
yeah.
Beautiful.
I'm going to borrow from Dana's martial arts. The concept that the only way out is through. So when you allow yourself to get the information from the emotions, it allows you to move through them with a lot of grace. Chinese medicine says that something can start emotionally, it can start energetically, it can start physically, and it will, no matter where it starts, it will impact all of those areas. So when we have grief that is unprocessed, it's waiting to give us information about what matters to us. It's waiting to give us information about what we want to do differently next time and who we are. And grief is really terrible. And it is the thing that allows us into a state of grace most consistently when we allow it to.
Mr. Dana?
Beautifully said. Yeah, that's a really moving question, Daniel. Thanks. And thanks for your great answer, Call. I have a tremendous empathy for the experience of grief, because grief is the emotional byproduct that we land in after loss. Loss is very difficult to accept because we register loss after we've had something valuable and we feel the meaning of the value of that thing, and then something takes it away from us, whether that be any vagary of life, the ultimate loss, which is death, or discouragement or betrayal can all make us feel a sense of loss and grief. It's natural, and I completely feel empathy for people who deny grief, right? It's very difficult to deal with. Part of the reason why it's very difficult to deal with is because we don't get taught how. We get taught to pretend we're not grieving. We get taught to pretend that we don't have loss in our lives. One of the most powerful things that I walked away from with the Book of Five Rings was the theme and the idea that in a battle, which is what the martial part of the strategy book is about, acceptance is the key to survival. And that is revolutionary, evolutionary, and powerfully life-changing when you really listen to those words. Because basically it's telling us, no matter how hard the thing is, like loss or grief, that if we accept its presence, yes, for a while it's going to feel heavy and difficult. But in the continuance of that acceptance, right, along the idea of the quickest way out of something is through it, when we realize how much power we can generate from acceptance, we can land in a place where grief and loss become tremendously valuable and effective teachers. It's difficult to accept loss, but if we can recognize that the grief that comes with it brings difficulty, but also a gift on the other side of that loss and grief, then we have a reason that we can connect to actually accept the loss and the grief that goes with it and move through it, because we know that the sun of hope will rise again. It's not going to be night forever. We won't always be in the dark. Sometimes just knowing that there's a hope in you that you can feel that says, light will return to this place. Then we can muster the courage and the strength to move through grief and loss with acceptance.
Empowering answer, both of you. Very well said. Thank you so much. And before we wrap up our discussion for tonight, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in 5th season, abstract poetry in 2nd season, and of course, my book 101 review in 5th season too, a comedy 101 in 2nd season, and my food 101 in its 5th season as well. Geography 101 in 4th season, and of course, my baby podcast, Law 101 and Mental Health 101. Love Letters in 3rd season, and Movie 101 Review and Music 101 in its 4th season, and Science 101 and Sex 101 in its 1st season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. Ms.Colleen and Mr.Dana, what's the core message of hope you want people to carry, not just for themselves, but for the generations yet to come?
I would say you are enough, and the faster you allow yourself to embrace who you truly are, the better the world gets inside of you and outside.
Beautiful.
I would add to that simply and powerfully, trust yourself. Nobody knows about you more than you, but you'll never get access to that information if you don't listen and take a chance to follow what is most powerful and meaningful to you based on your own determination of those things. So trust yourself, and you will go further than you could have ever possibly imagined.
Trust yourself indeed, Ms. Colleen Robinson and Mr.Dana Pemberton. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So can you please invite our listeners to support your advocacy as well as your business itself?
Fantastic.
Amazing. Yeah, thank you.
Please, where do people
find us?
Oh, I'm sorry, I got so excited. So thinking about the last thing you said, yes, thedigitaldojo.net, and we've got a free 3-day mindset reset on there for people, and a free introduction to the Black Belt Mind for people as well.
Yes, indeed. Mr. Dana, another additional for support for Ms. Colleen.
We are also, and you'll find all this information at thedigitaldojo.net. We are also on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, and you can find us there and access so much information at the click of your mouse anytime you want for free. We genuinely want people to have information that they can explore, examine, and learn from. So look for us at thedigitaldojo.net, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook.
So much information, people. Let's support Miss Colleen Robinson and Mr. Dana Pemberton, because if you support them, more and more empowering information to come. So Miss Colleen and Mr. Dana, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you so much. It's been
wonderful to spend this time with you. And we thoroughly enjoyed it. It's an honor. We look forward to it again at some time in the future. And we're going to check out all the other podcasts.
Thank you so much.
Do that too.
Thank you so much. More to come, people. See you soon.